Chapter 3. Zhou Wenjing simply wanted to rip Zhou Yunsheng apart. Just as he was about to get up, he was kicked away, vomiting out a mouth full of blood. The original owner, because of Zhou Wenang's calculations, lost his identity as Zhou family's eldest son, and the family property, his life instantly fell into the pit. But the protagonist, who had already become a commercial giant, still pummeled him while he was down. Because of him, the original owner had doors slammed in his face everywhere he went, and spent a lifetime unable to find a decent job. Finally, he ended his life in depression. After receiving this body and learning the fate of the original owner, forgot about Zhou Yunsheng holding the protagonist's side. Not immediately killing him was already considered valiant self-control. If Du Zhulang hadn't pressed down his shoulder with force, he still would have walked over to kick him a few more times. Sheng Xiao, don't pointlessly bully young people. The handsome young man pushed up the glasses on the bridge of his nose, seemingly kindly comforting, but also seemingly warning. Zhao Yunsheng didn't mind. He brushed away the hand on his shoulders and slowly strolled to Zhou Wenjing's side. Zhou Wenjing already couldn't climb up, only able to glare at him with eyes of hatred. "Do you hate me?" Zhou Yunsheng tilted his head. In response, Zhou Wenjing spit out bloody saliva. Zhou Yunsheng stepped sideways to avoid this, then stepped on Zhou Wenjing's stomach, opening with a sneer. "You actually hate me? What qualifications do you have to hate me? Without my mother's support, could your orphan mother afford to go to the best domestic university and graduate to an instant job in the Zhou clan, taking home a few hundreds of thousands annual salary? My mother treated her like her own daughter, and how did she return the favor? Climbing into her foster father's bed, giving birth to a child for her foster father, even if she chose to kill herself. Why do it with my mother's bathtub? Was she atoning for her sins or using her life to take revenge against my mother? Well, she got her wish, and my mother eventually followed in her steps, leaving me to face the world alone. I ask you, who should I hate?" Zhao Yunsheng's eyes grew redder as he spoke, and had to stop to take a deep breath. His hoarse voice was filled with such strong rage and hatred, as if he wanted to destroy everything in front of him. Zhou Wenjing was frightened by his sudden outbreak of intense emotions. For a long time he dared not look him in the eyes. Du Zhulang's, who originally wanted to pull him away, heart trembled slightly. Before he came, he investigated Zhou Wenjing's situation in Zhou family. He only felt that he was pitiful, but he never looked from Zhou Yunsheng's perspective. Now he listens to his complaints and suddenly thought, right, the biggest victim was really Zhou mother. And as for this child abandoned by Zhou mother, the pain and hatred in his heart wasn't less than Zhou Wenjing. Illegitimate children are pitiful. Then what about legitimate children? Du Zhulang, another illegitimate child, had never considered this issue. The air stagnated for a moment. Zhao Yunsheng's mood also calmed down, slowly asking, "You find your conscience and ask yourself, if you were in my position, how would you feel?" "What would I feel? Naturally hate, monstrous hate." Zhou Wenjing quietly clenched his fists, his eyes revealing a bewildered look. Zhao Yunsheng suddenly found it very boring. He removed his foot from his stomach and sneered, "The person you should hate the most is not me, but Zhou Hao, Zhou father. He is the one who killed your mother." Saying this, he waved towards Du Zhulang. "Let's go." He waved towards Du Zhulang. "Let's go." "What about Wenjing Xiao? You want to send him to the hospital?" Du Zhulang worriedly inquired. He always put on a show of being a nice to everybody man, so he wasn't afraid Zhou Yunsheng would be suspicious. His skin is tough, he can't die. Zhou Yunsheng smiled faintly and glanced sideways at him. That look, one of seeing everything clearly, made Du Zhulang's breathing stutter. The car slowly pulled away, leaving behind Zhou Wenjing's bewildered and lonely figure. He still had not stopped hating Zhou Yunsheng, but his hatred for Zhou father had reached unprecedented heights. At this moment, he secretly swore, sooner or later, one day, he'd destroy Zhou father and destroy Zhou family. As for Zhou Yunsheng, letting him lose everything he was proud of was enough. Du Zhulang seemed to be focusing on the road, but in fact he was unobtrusively sizing up Zhou Yunsheng out of the corner of his eyes. Right now his thoughts on the juvenile was complex. He thought he was hateful, but he always thought he was pitiful, and there was still some heart to express interest. Zheng Shao, although Jing Shao's mother, speaking up to hear, he was at a loss for words, pausing before opening. Sorry about your mother, but Jing Shao has done nothing wrong. You target him all the time, aren't you going too far? As the saying goes, don't burn any bridges. After all, he is your brother. Don't fight to the death. He'd once thought about finding someone to educate the oldest son, but now he'd completely dispelled that idea. Why bother with a basically orphaned child? Although Du clan conglomerate was very powerful, he wasn't able to find out the inside story of Zhou family. Zhou father's cover-up of the events in that year were too good. The dead child was passed off as the mistress's child and was brought back to her hometown to be quietly buried. The mistress' acting skills were pretty good. At the funeral, she cried her heart and lungs out, inconsolable, fooling everyone. Also, either her luck was no good or Zhou father's luck was too tough to overthrow his wife, but soon after the successful switch, she was diagnosed with acute leukemia, dying not a few months later. This matter was completely in top secret except for Zhou father and Zhou Wen'ang. Only Zhou Yunsheng, who had invaded the Lord God's database, knew the truth. He's done nothing wrong, so the mistakes are all mine? Zhou Yunsheng raised an eyebrow in a sneer. Du Zhulang was silent a moment, then said, You bully Jing Shao so much, aren't you afraid he'll hate you? After all, he's also a son of the Zhou family. He's qualified to inherit the family property. It doesn't matter that he's currently being suppressed by Director Zhou. In the future, when Director Zhou backs down, it wouldn't be difficult to make trouble for you. Why make multiple enemies when you can make multiple allies? If it was a usual day, he would never say such truthful words to Zhou Yunsheng. Don't think that's just because Zhou Yunsheng was the perfectly legitimate eldest son of the Zhou family, then he was the most qualified to inherit Zhou group. Because Zhou father might not be thinking this way. Zhou Yunsheng was not aware that he was in this situation, but as a bystander, Du Zhulang could clearly see the score. Zhou Hao's attitude towards Zhou Wen'ang was clearly different from the other two brothers, simply spoiling him endlessly. If Zhou Wen'ang was interested in becoming Zhou clan master, Zhou Hao absolutely wouldn't object. Most likely, the current Zhou Wen'ang already regarded the Zhou clan as within his grasp, and pitiful Zhou Yunsheng only regarded him as a good younger brother, not only completely off guard with him, but also extremely exploited. If Zhou Wen'ang rose to the highest position, judging by his ruthlessness, even if they were brothers, Zhou Yunsheng's days would probably not be good. Who knew when he'd be plotted against and die horribly? Thinking of this, Du Zhulang cast a glance mixed with some subtle sympathy towards Zhou Yunsheng. Looking from his perspective of the three Zhou brothers, Zhou Yunsheng was actually the most pitiful. Zhou Wenjing had him for protection, and Zhou Wen'ang had Zhou Hao. Only Zhou Yunsheng had no one to rely on, a very bleak situation. Zhou Yunsheng didn't know what was filling Du Zhulang's brain. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care. He chuckled for a bit before waving. I don't intend to go after the Zhou family, so whether or not he hates me doesn't change a thing. Du Zhulang's eyes flashed slightly, following up. You don't plan to go after the Zhou family? Sheng Shao, what do you mean? The literal meaning. Zhou Yunsheng glanced at him sideways, then looked out the window and didn't speak again. Zhou Wenjing hadn't returned to the Zhou family house until after 9 p.m. He opened the door to see Du Zhulang standing by the French window, smoking. The hair that usually lay scattered over his forehead was meticulously combed up, revealing handsome and sharp facial features. He put the cigarette out and turned to look at him. The powerful breath he involuntarily emitted made Zhou Wenjing feel some fear, but even more worship. Uncle, I'm back. He immediately closed the door and lowered his voice. He didn't understand Du Zhulang's true identity. The other man simply stated that he was a close friend with his mother in the orphanage. They loved each other like siblings, so he specifically came back to take care of him. But judging by the other man's powerful aura and omnipotent means, Zhou Wenjing guessed he must not be an ordinary person. How are your injuries? Du Zhulang snuffed out the cigarette. Once he got your message, Dr. Fang came right away. I have a cracked hand and bone. The rest is some skin trauma. Zhou Wenjing shook his casted left hand, gnashing his teeth. Sooner or later, I'll stomp all over the Zhou family and make Zhou Yunsheng pay the price for everything today. Listening to him say he'd deal with the Zhou family, Du Zhulang felt nothing, until he heard the last sentence. Only then did he frown, but he also didn't say anything. Meanwhile, Zhou Wen'ang knocked on Zhou Yunsheng's door. Big brother, are you the one that made someone beat up that bastard? You're really worthy of being my big brother. Zhou Wen'ang intimately embraced Zhou Yunsheng's shoulder. Yes, I set up the fight. Zhou Yunsheng unobtrusively pulled away, walking to his desk to play with his computer. A string of code quickly appeared on the pitch-black screen, then quickly disappeared. His face reflected light and dark. Big brother, that bastard really is such an eyesore. You should think of a way to get him to go abroad. All best if he never came back. All of the evil plots against Zhou Wenjing have always come from Zhou Wen'ang. Zhou Yunsheng just carried them out. Zhou Yunsheng put all the hatred while Zhou Wen'ang pretended to be a good man behind his back, selling Zhou Wenjing little favors. Therefore, Wenjing and Zhou Wen'ang's relationship, although it wasn't intimate, it also wasn't bad. Even when Zhou Wenjing bought out Zhou Clan in the future, Zhou Wen'ang was still a member of the board. His life was very comfortable. This was what also originally occurred. Zhou Wen'ang not only urged Zhou Yunsheng to send Zhou Wenjing abroad, he also bribed a few drug dealers to guide Zhou Wenjing to become a drug addict. If Du Zhulang had not arrived in time to force him to detoxify, Zhou Wenjing's life would have been ruined. All the retribution fell on Zhou Yunsheng, while the real villain, Zhou Wen'ang, rode the protagonist's coattails, living a lifetime of prosperity. What the hell kind of world was this? Zhou Yunsheng sneered in his heart, staring into the computer screen. He indifferently said, You do it, I'm very busy recently. What are you busy with? That was the first time his brother refused him. Zhou Wen'ang couldn't help but frown. I'm moving abroad. I've already selected a good school. I'm applying for it right now. Dad doesn't know yet. I'll tell him when the application gets through. You have to help me keep it a secret. Zhou Yunsheng hit the enter key and the computer screen showed an entrance application for A Country's Connecticut Hodge High School. It was signed to signify that the preliminary trial had been passed. He just had to wait for the final ruling a week later. Hodge High School was one of the best secondary schools in A Country. The admission requirements were very strict. It was known as a small Ivy League school. Every year, countless people applied for the school, but only a few could smoothly pass the audit. Zhou Wenang's eyes flashed with a touch of jealous hate, but it soon subsided. Compared to getting rid of Zhou Yunjing, he actually preferred getting rid of Zhou Yunsheng. This was good. Since he chose to leave, it saved him a lot of effort. When he came back, the Zhou family would not be sure who was in charge. Moreover, A Country's law and order wasn't good. Every year, there were always a few foreign exchange students who inexplicably went missing. Who knew if Zhou Yunsheng wouldn't become one of those unlucky ghosts?